Greetings, greetings, one and all. 'Tis only a few more weeks till fall. How are you?
Hi.
Is that all you got? Yeah, you.
No, that's my thing.
You
man.
and everybody. How are all of you?
Oh. I'm cool. I liked your accent just now. Wow, that's debatable. I liked your accent just now, though. That was good. Was that a Halloween accent?
No.
Felt a little vampire-ish.
I have no Halloween cheer. You know this.
That's true. It's just a natural. It's just every day.
Yeah, it's
natural
just
everyday Halloween.
Everyday, community theater accent.
So, I went to a Halloween party last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, sort of.
Oh.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was fun. It was at Koizen.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and our friends Riptide were playing.
Riptide, remind me.
That's Dave.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Dave Panique.
That's a duo, right?
Uh-huh, yeah. And they're really fun. They're like a really fun band
awesome.
Duo. And they do like all the cool covers, you know.
Yeah.
They don't really do any originals, but what they do is so good. And it was fun because, you know, I got to hang out with Darius and Lisa from Koizen Cellars a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got to hang out with Steve and Mary Jo, who I'm teaching voice and guitar lessons to now.
Nice.
And then a little bit with Dave and Julie and like that crew. So it was super fun.
Uh-huh.
I was super late because Ed, you were helping me with some computer issues.
Oh, that's right.
And when I got to Koizen, everyone was asking about you, as they always do, and how you're doing and stuff. And I said, he's really good. The best is that I was on a video call with Ed, fully decked out in my flapper Halloween costume.
I thought you'd just come back from a photo shoot. I wasn't going to ask.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. The best part is, like, you didn't say a word about it. Just carried on like all was normal.
I saw that, and I just didn't even think to ask either. I was just like, oh, she must have come back from a photo shoot. Because I saw the post, the behind the scenes video you did earlier that day, I believe, that you did with Karen.
Oh yeah, that was a different photo shoot actually. But
yeah. So I just figured, oh well.
Well, it was kind of both because, you know, I got invited to come hang out at the, well, everyone got invited to. I'm like, I got invited to hang out at this very public Halloween party.
Well, la-di-da.
Very special. But Brad had to work, so he couldn't go. So I was like, well, I'm going to go. I just got a really cool Instagram collaboration with this like vintage dress company called Betty Page. And so they sent me a couple of dresses and some shoes that are awesome. And one of them was a flapper dress, and I have to do a photo shoot for them. So in return, I was like, well, I'll get dressed up in my flapper costume for Halloween. And then I'll do my photo shoot, and then I'll go to this thing, and all will be well, except for I was like an hour and a half late because I couldn't get my photos to upload.
Betty Page, it's called?
Betty Page, yeah.
Oh, yeah, like the old, like the woman.
Yeah, the old pinup. It's like a pinup
model.
Yeah, it's like a pinup clothing company.
Cool.
So. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and their stuff, I mean, it's new, but it's super authentic.
Really?
Like, they don't make clothes like this anymore. Even the shoes are, like, the detail, there's, like, a leopard print at the bottom of the shoe. Like, who puts a print on the bottom of the shoe? And then, like, the inside, there's, like, hand-woven little hearts, and, like, the label is cotton. It's incredible. Like
That's
they just don't do
awesome.
stuff like that anymore, you know? Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, Betty Page, check it out.
That's so cool. I got to turn the air conditioner off for 3 whole days.
What?
That was my exciting thing.
Did you turn it back on today?
Yes.
It's hot here today too.
I mean, it's a little warm, but mostly because it just gets warm in this room.
Yeah.
So,
Gadgets galore.
yeah, like all the computers and the computer running at full tilt and everything. So, but yeah, it got like cold. I mean,
Yeah.
cold for Arizona.
It's been nice, huh?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It feels like fall,
Yeah.
which is
As it
kind of
should.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. But it just kind of hit. It's just like because it was really
Yeah.
hot, and then all of a sudden the temperature dropped by like 20 degrees.
Yeah. And then it spikes back up and it's like, fooled you.
Yep.
That's
Yep,
what
exactly.
That's what Arizona does.
It's November in Arizona. That's what our thing is. November in Arizona. Oh, I get to turn the air conditioner off.
I know everyone else is like freezing.
Yeah. I'm always reminded of one of my favorite jokes from Mystery Science Theater and by extension Riff Tracks to keep repeating it is whenever they're watching a movie and there's like just a blizzard going on and they're all like July in Minnesota. It just kills me every time.
That's funny.
But yeah, hey, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
It's Crimes Against Folk again on a Sunday afternoon. Hopefully you got a decent extra hour of sleep. We didn't here in Arizona.
No, you didn't.
So hopefully you all enjoyed it for us.
I just like woke up at a normal time. I was like, dang
Right.
it.
You can get to enjoy it.
No, there was no extra sleep for me. It was just the same amount, just shifted.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think it'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
That's the hope anyway.
Yeah.
Today we're chatting with our friend Rowland Folensbee.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Nashville-based musician, producer, businessman, and we're mainly having him on to really just chat about what he's been up to because it's been a while since we talked to him. It's been since, last year, I think, since we had a conversation with him.
Oh, yeah. We met him at a really cool barbecue place in Nashville.
Yeah,
Around this time last year.
It was during the singer-songwriter festival? No,
Americana
Festival.
Yeah.
And so we haven't chatted with him in a while, but we wanted to also kind of, showcase his few of the things he does. And he mainly, with us and with others, he works in the music placement industry, getting music placed in film, TV, and YouTube, all that stuff. But more importantly, he's just a super cool dude.
Yeah.
So we wanted to share the magic of Rowland with you today. So thanks y'all for being here.
Yeah.
I think we'll get started with a little show and tell.
Oh, yeah. I hope did you get my photo?
Yeah, I did. I got your photo.
I realized like moments before we were getting on our pre-show, I was like, oh, I have to send Ed a photo today. But I had saved a bunch in my phone already because I was kind of browsing through Facebook last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I have quite a few gems that I'm like holding on to for shows. And this was one of them, one of the ones I wanted to share.
Yeah. This was from a while back.
Uh-huh.
Back when I still drunk stuff.
Barely.
More often.
Yeah, more often, which still wasn't very much.
No. Do you remember what year this was?
I think that was from our first tour out west. So it had to have been 2015.
Oh, must have been. Yeah, you have brunette hair there.
Yeah, I think we're still living in Nashville here.
Oh, that's very possible.
Yeah, our tours kind of crept up on us. Like when we started Witherward. A lot of you guys know this, but some of you don't. We started to be a touring duo. We just wanted to, like, with the intention of throwing our guitars in our car and just going wherever we wanted to go and playing for whoever wanted to hear us. And, it worked. And eventually, I think our first tour was like 2 shows, and then our second tour, God, we would often travel like 4.5 hours just to play a show in Georgia at a winery and make $150, and we couldn't even afford to stay over. We would just immediately drive home. Like, that was the beginning of Witherword. It was crazy, but it's almost like we needed to do it to like kind of figure out. We built this career, and slowly, like one show at a time, kind of a thing. And eventually, our tours were 20 shows long, and I think this was like a 20-show long tour at this point. We had
it was somewhere around there, I think.
Yeah, because we were mostly touring around Tennessee, and we went to Kansas City, we went to St. Louis, and we're like, let's try going out west. So I booked us like a 20-something show tour through Colorado and Arizona, which is an easy place for me to book because that's where I'm from. And God, we probably played New Mexico too. Did we fly out there? Vegas. Yeah, I think we flew out there this time.
If that's the one I'm thinking of, if it's the first one out, we flew out to California.
Or was I there? I was there.
Yeah.
And you flew out to San Diego.
I flew out early to San Diego and stayed in Cardiff for a couple of days, then met you in San Diego, and I think we played Lestat's there.
Yeah.
And then we started out towards Colorado, if I remember.
This
correctly.
Sounds right. We'll just go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had, this was our first time really touring through Colorado, and we booked this really cool brewery called High Hops.
High Hops.
In Fort Collins, and, Windsor, right?
Windsor.
Which
it's
nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still play there. I mean, we would still be playing there right now if it weren't for COVID. We absolutely love this brewery. We love the people there. They welcome, like, when we show up, it's kind of like we're in the music family, and it feels really good. And they're like, welcome home. They're hippies, and they're really, really cool people. A beautiful stage. If you've ever watched one of our live streams from there, it's like they put a lot of TLC into decorating their stage. And so it's very colorful. And then they've just expanded. They've exploded throughout the year. So it's been really cool to show up every time and be like, oh my God, you guys have a distillery now? And they built an indoor stage. And I mean, it's a beautiful area of Colorado too. We just absolutely love it. And not to mention, they have really good beer.
They do. That's, if I still were to drink beer, that's probably a beer I would import to Arizona, because man, they have so many different they do so many different kinds of beer, and every one of them is really good.
Yeah.
I particularly like their Scotch ale,
which is what we're drinking in this photo.
Yeah, we're both having. Yeah, that's right, because they use little glasses for the Scotch ale.
Yeah. And I just remember we got it and we were like, what is this amazing magic potion of beer?
Yeah.
It was so good. And and it's so high. And I think it's like 12% or something.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. So you have one and you're drunk. But yeah, it kind of became a little tradition because Ed doesn't really drink that often and I do. So we would kind of show up but he would drink the Scotch ale at High Hops. So we would show up and we would just get one and we would have a beer together before our show. And this is how it all began, right here in this photo, back when I had very, very, very black hair.
Yeah.
And Ed had hair.
Yep, and I still had most of my hair. But yeah, and the main guy we would contact there was Blake.
Yep.
And just one of the nicest people that we know in our travels. And it was really exciting to see when they would expand. We get to chat to Blake and everybody else about it, and they'd be so excited to tell us about the new stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
And it was really that's kind of the feeling. That was kind of the good feeling, was like you felt like you were kind of growing with them each time you came back.
Yeah.
And each time you were, but we were booked again, and we'd go back and they'd tell us all the new stuff that they're doing. That was really neat. There were a couple places I feel like we have that kind of relationship with. And it's always really special. I really enjoy that.
I agree. That's honestly one of the coolest things about our circuits, when we would tour in circuits, is like returning to a place and being like, we've missed you guys, So this was definitely like, as we started growing as Witherward and playing less bars and breweries, we kept and more house concerts and other concerts. We kept a list of a handful of bars and breweries that we still wanted to do because we just love them so much, and this was one of them. So we'd still be playing there if we could.
If we could.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really nice memory.
Yeah.
And every time we go to High Hops, we have a good time. And we'll over time we've had, as we slowly built a little fan base in Colorado, we'd have people show up, either people we were staying with or people friends just in the area, like our friends Matt and Michelle.
Yep.
Would show up, or Jeannie and Brian.
Yeah.
And of course we had mentioned Paul.
Yeah.
And his kid. We mentioned that a little bit ago.
Yeah, from Fast Track Furies.
Mariah's husband.
Yeah. Yeah, she showed up a couple times too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
they had a cat. I don't know if they have a cat anymore. They had 2 cats.
Aw. That's, of course, you remember the cats.
Yeah. That would hang around the stage, in the old stage anyway. I don't know about the new one. But good times at High Hops.
Yeah. I really enjoyed those shows.
Yeah.
Miss them. I miss those guys.
Yeah, hope they're weathering the pandemic all right.
I know. If you guys ever see High Hops beer anywhere on tap or in the grocery store or somewhere, just get it.
Yeah.
Just get it.
You won't be disappointed.
It's so good. Seriously.
You will not be disappointed. And they did not pay us to say that, for the record. We just really, really like their beer a lot.
Yeah. This show is sponsored by High Hops.
Nope. But we love them anyway.
Yeah.
So that's nice memory there, Ash.
Thanks. I thought you would enjoy that one.
Yeah. Memories from my mom too. Yeah, she went to one of the shows when we were up there.
Oh, right. That's right.
I think that was the Mother's Day show.
Oh, that's cool.
The Mother's Day weekend.
That's very cool.
When it snowed.
Yeah. Right. When it snowed on Mother's Day. That's right. Oh my God.
But yeah, next we'll throw in a highlight of one of our videos, and I chose another songs from a Subaru video because we hadn't done that in a while. And this was the one we did in the Harz region.
So cool.
Yeah, this was when we had a few days off, and we wanted to just go somewhere that wasn't a big city. We wanted to go to like a classic German small town
that wasn't bombed
wasn't bombed to oblivion in World War II.
Two options.
Yeah, there weren't
no
many.
Well, in the north there's more options in the south than there were in the north.
Yeah,
but this was one of them,
and this was kind of south-ish, I guess, or maybe in the center.
Yeah, okay.
We went to a little town called Ilsenburg, and it's in the, and we went to a couple places. We went to Ilsenburg, we went to Wernigerode, we went on a castle, and got to see over the entire valley. That
was beautiful.
Beautiful
That's where all
stuff.
those views overlooking the valley are from the top of that castle.
Yeah.
And on that day, Ed and I, what was the name of the small town with like the witches? like the witch. You'll see a lot of witches in our video because it was like the Harz region is kind of known for being kind of spooky.
The big town was Wernigerode. The town we stayed in was Ilsenburg.
Oh, right. Wernigerode is where we got those amazing ice cream sundaes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that town is so cool. There's like a wishing well in the center of it. And yeah, they have...
Yeah, the town square was cool.
Yeah. And just all that folklore with the
Black Forest, I think it is.
and I went for a hike in the Black Forest by myself, and I was terrified. It's thick and dark, and nobody was around. I was just like, I made myself do it, but I was like, oh, what was that? So you'll see with me in an umbrella, I was like freaking out. I was by myself. And then I had Ed go back with me the next day, and we drove up there in our Subaru, and because we don't understand how to read German signs, this guy, I'm still not sure if that guy was right or not, but this guy like stopped us. He's like, you're not allowed to drive up here. It's a very, very big fine. We're like, okay, we'll go back.
So yeah, had some fun times in Harz. So this is our Songs from a Subaru video.
With a special at the end.
Mm-hmm. During our time in Harz.
Yep. These are the adventures of an American indie folk duo on tour in Europe.
We've partnered with Subaru Europe and are documenting our journey through every city on tour, plus an original song right from our Outback.
Life on the road can be tough, but so rewarding. From the amazing people we meet to the beautiful towns we explore.
We've already been through England, Scotland, and Wales. Next, we'll make our way through Germany and the Netherlands.
This is Ashley, lead singer, songwriter, acoustic guitar player, yogi, booking agent, band manager, and social media director.
And Ed, lead singer, songwriter, electric guitar player, driver, accountant, web designer, and all-around nice guy.
This is our journey.
This is Confidence in Motion.
This is Songs from a Subaru.
Sound of the rain wakes me up. Turn off the alarm, pour me a cup. Same old song, but I got a new tune. You in my arms, keep away the blues. I'm looking down, you flip me around and make me stay feel better. Ooh, rainy or shine, you blow my mind in any kind of weather. Whoa, this love is sunny side up.
When I lost my umbrella, you used your coat. When my car broke down, you carried me home.
When it all goes wrong,
You get it right.
you're everything.
I'm thankful for in my life.
When I'm looking down, you flip me around and make this day feel better. Ooh, rainy or shine, you roll my mind in any kind of weather.
Oh, this love is sunny side up.
I'm looking down, you flip me around and make this day feel better.
Shine over my mind in any kind of weather. I'm looking down, you flip me around and make this day feel better. Rain or shine over my mind in any kind of weather.
Whoa, this love.
Oh, this love. Ooh, this love. Sunny side up.
Sunny side up.
Sunny side up.
Sunny side down.
Welcome to the Witherward Cooking Show.
Show now. We got lucky right out of college. We
Well,
got
we
an
sure
offer
did.
from HGTV to develop a series. And the first episode is getting this fucking thing open.
Episode 1.
This is 22
Opening.
minutes of this with commercials for this sauce.
Did it come with instructions?
No. Well, maybe. No.
For our fun video, adulting. Look at us adulting, doing stuff, putting sausage in the pan. Oh my god. How to cook Witherward. We have no idea. We just bought some things and put them in a pot. And we're going to wait and see how it turns out.
Nice.
I don't know.
Knife it or something.
That's cool.
Because I can't figure it out. So you would think you just pull this apart, but there's no. Okay. All right.
So yeah, we're
That was our adventure in Harse.
our first and last cooking show. Although we do that a lot. That
Yeah.
little pasta sauce meal. Ed and I have done that.
A few times.
Yeah, we did in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah. That's
And we had a few days off in the Netherlands, and a friend of ours, Ed, let us. We stayed on his houseboat near Amsterdam, which was amazing. And he, we went to the grocery store, and we it's kind of fun going to the grocery store in countries where you don't speak the language, because you're like, well, I think that's what this is. So we're going to get this and that and that. And then just kind of, we make our own little pasta sauce and put some kind of meat in it and veggies. And it's a good time. It's a nice little.
It's easy, and you get to just make something that's nice and fresh and everything. And
Especially if you're there, in the same place for a few days and you got leftovers and stuff. So,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So that was really fun. we were trying to get a lot of B-roll anyway, so we're like, let's film ourselves cooking,
Yeah.
and let's film Ed not being able to open the sauce
The
package.
struggle is real. I think I cut up like 4 peppers by the time Ed figured out how to open the first one.
Basically just taking a knife to it. So, yeah, that was really fun though.
That was fun.
That we had a few days there, and you could you can kind of just see from the vistas, in Vanagarota we went up to the castle because you could just walk up there. I don't think we went. Did we go in?
We didn't. No, I don't think we could. I don't think it was open. Yeah.
But you could go out on the terrace, and the terrace overlooked the entire region, the city, and just everything else. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was just in a small, cool little Germantown, and small Germantowns, I think, are just really, really something else. We've been to quite a few.
Yeah,
And
especially when you look down and all those houses have like the similar roofs and it's just like very scattered among the forest. It's so cool looking.
Yeah.
That was a real moment.
So cool. All right. So now we'll introduce our guest for today.
Yay.
Rowland Folensbee also goes by Trey Houston. That's his stage name. And he's originally from Houston, Texas. But he now lives in Nashville, lives and works in Nashville, producing music, performing, writing, and also getting stuff placed for people. We met him at NAMM, was it 2018 or 2017? I'm trying to remember which NAMM we met him in. It might have been 2018.
One of those, yeah.
I think it was 2018 because that was the one we tried to go to, like, workshops and things.
Oh, yeah.
And
the first one is where we got the guitar. We met all the guitar people.
Yep.
And then the second one was where we went to the workshops.
Yeah, this is Winter NAMM to differentiate them. There's a Summer NAMM. But we went to the Winter NAMM, which is in Anaheim. And they had this really cool thing where they were doing roundtables rather than like they do their panels usually. And if anyone's been to a convention, they do a panel where there's a bunch of people up on the table, sitting at a table, and they're talking to the audience, and that's really cool. But we also participated in a roundtable where there were 2 experts, 2 or 3 experts there, and everyone just sat at round tables. So it wasn't like a panel. It was more like it was like kind of a discussion / meet and greet / I don't know. It was really interesting.
Well, I think it was supposed to be. I think I think originally, and Rowland was heading it up, and I think he had originally intended on making it like a kind of lecture hall thing, and then he decided instead, he's like, let's just break up into tables and kind of and talk. We met that other really cool manager guy that we attempted to work with for a minute, and it didn't work out as well. But we learned a lot from that session, and struck up a pretty cool friendship with Rowland, and he represents our music, so nothing big yet, but we're we know something's going to come eventually, so
so he sent in a story for us in his travels. He's met a lot of really interesting people, had a lot of cool experiences, and he sent in this particular story about working with an artist, and serves as a pretty good learning experience for anyone. So take a listen to this story from Rowland.
So one of my favorite music business stories that really sort of speaks to the importance of licensing and keeping track of your money and where things are coming from is when I was living in Austin. I was working there. I was first starting my company doing sync licensing. But I also did consulting about licensing in general for music. And I sat down with a pretty major Austin artist who I won't name, who had been in the game for a long time and is really good and really well thought of and doing 100 dates a year and all that, which now sounds crazy in the time of COVID. But so I sat down with him and I was going to discuss his catalog and where his money was coming from because I was going to represent him for sync licensing. And I asked very casually, hey, what PRO are you on? And he sort of looked down and looked up and he said, oh, I'm a pro. I said, I stopped. I said, oh, no, what performing rights organization are you on? He said, oh, I don't mess with that. What do you mean you don't mess with that? Someone else does it for you, admin deal. What do you mean? And he said that he has never been on a PRO. And I had to sit there and explain to him reporting your shows and collecting your money for all of that. And in the course of his 30-year career, I would estimate he truly lost hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million that he could not go and back collect. Hell, even most of the places he was performing at didn't exist anymore. And that was heartbreaking. And also the moment I decided to leave Austin and move back to Nashville. But yeah, keeping track of your licenses and knowing where your money can be coming from and how your music can profit you is a really key part of this industry. Because if you want to keep being an artist and keep pursuing the dream, you have to have the money to do it. You have to be able to make that living. But yeah, I always found that to be an interesting, disheartening, but a lesson-filled story.
Up here. Let's unmute. Oh, wait, I think I'm muted. All right. So, that was a really instructive tale from our guest, Rowland. And as it happens, we have Rowland with us right now. How's it going, Rowland?
Oh, it's going well. It's nice to talk to y'all.
Yeah, good to talk to you as well.
We were just saying the last time we spoke with you was about a year ago when we were in Nashville during Americana Festival, and we met you at that super awesome barbecue place.
Absolutely, which sadly, rest in peace now, due to the COVID era, it has passed.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's so
It broke my
heartbreaking.
heart. It broke my heart.
What was it
did.
called?
But, Charcoal Cowboy.
Charcoal Cowboy, right.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, loved it. But the silver lining to it all is that group of people, including the chef and the family that ran it. Now we all get together for Taco Tuesday, so we get to at least go to the house and enjoy some good barbecue, anyways.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad we got
man.
to experience it while it was alive.
Yeah. Rest in peace. That was a great establishment. Lots of great in-town musicians went there. In particular, that's where we would go and talk shop there at the bar. Like it was a real hub for a second. I miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know how you feel because Cafe Coco, I believe, also closed.
Yeah.
And that was my place back when I lived in Nashville. I just loved it, and when I heard that they were just closing for good, I was like, oh.
I feel, the first show that I ever did in Nashville was at Cafe Coco on that backstage.
No kidding.
Oh wow.
I have great pictures from there. My sense of fashion was probably pseudo homeless at the time, but I think the music was still okay.
That's a thing though.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I spent
homeless
Nashville
fashion.
at a certain time.
Right. You know what? That's actually where we conceptualized Witherword for
Yep.
the first time, and I had a little meeting at Cafe Coco, and we decided that we were going to start a indie folk duo and start touring around the world, and that's where we came
I
up with
love that. I love that. Cafe Coco has so much there. Like again, a big
Yeah.
part of Nashville lives in Cafe Coco's memory.
Yeah. Well, that
yeah.
whole area, like, where Exit In and the End
That
and all
rock
those
block.
places are. Yeah, the rock block
Yeah.
down on Ellison is that's a pretty iconic place. Is the End still around?
The End is there. Like, I loved performing at the End too. That was probably my favorite down home venue here.
Yeah. I've played there a couple
I don't
times.
think they're doing shows currently, but
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I played there a couple times. Once with LV, one of my bands that I played with, and I think I played there once with Susie Chisholm too.
Oh, okay.
We did a show
okay.
there. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that place. Did
My
trim.
yoga studio's right there too.
It sure is.
Yeah, hot yoga plus.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, this is the thing about when you get with somebody who's in Nashville. We start talking about, oh, what's changed in Nashville? Like, what changed this week in Nashville?
A lot.
Oh, and it's still just it's a roller coaster over here because who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
all these musicians are hurting. I feel so bad.
know.
A lot of my role has shifted a bit recently in doing more sort of offhand consulting and things like that because people need to find their money right now when they're not on the road doing shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah. So tell us more about that. So you've got like a whole consulting kind of thing for musicians, how to make money online, basically.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of what I do. And again, it starts with sync licensing for me, major on down. So we certainly get, a good number of those big placements every year, but a whole lot of it too is your micro licensing, especially for independent artists, is a superb way to make money, to have a little of that in the back. So when you're not touring, especially, you're still getting monthly or quarterly checks. So like micro licensing, that is your independent films and stuff on down to wedding videos, high school graduation videos, corporate videos, all that does get licensed, and they're smaller dollar licenses. They're your $50 to $100 a pop licenses that nobody's going to be too impressed, but any dollar you get as a musician furthers the dream and furthers your ability to continue to pursue it in its fullest.
Yeah. Well, and all that stuff adds up too. I mean, if you do a few, I guess, non-exclusives with a bunch of different places and online libraries, 50 here, 20 there, 100 there, it all adds up in the end.
Absolutely. Again, from my sort of business perspective, a company that comes to me wanting an exclusive deal is going to have to really be able to blow me away with the stuff they have done previously, but also what are the sheets you're looking at right now that I'm not looking at?
Yeah.
Because if I have 4 or 5 songs from an artist that aren't the same but are similar enough, I can then justify to myself putting 1 or 2 of those with an exclusive if it seems like those exclusives are reaching people that I simply am not, supervisors that I'm not in touch with, anything to get that spread out there so that you can collect the most for yourself and for, the progress.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's the volume been like? Has it changed a lot since the pandemic hit for you? Or has it been the same or...
I'll strangely almost relate this to stocks right now in that there is no one stock that I would get into, but I would bet on volatility.
Right.
And the music industry has fared about the same way. I have watched the accounts that I keep for all the people that I represent. There have been months during the pandemic where, boy, is it almost nothing. And it's scary and it feels a little bit like the sky is falling. And then the next month, I'll get a month better than an average month from last year. And I am baffled. And I feel a little not out in the wilderness. The money's coming in, but boy, is it sporadic in a way that I've never seen before. And I guess that's to be expected with everything. But again, we've had major projects get put off. We've been working with, I probably am under NDA enough not to mention, but we've been working with a big group, and we were going to do a musical show with Nickelodeon, and we were tail end of negotiations. Everything was going great, and COVID hit. And within a month, they were like, yeah, we're putting everything on hold. And it was killer. But at the same time, it's a can getting kicked down the road. It's not an opportunity being taken away.
Right.
But, this year has been a pause for a lot of things. So then we in particular then started trying to pursue all of these mid-level TV shows because they're the ones that have already finished. Their budgets are already established. And you have about 9 months to a year and a half of that post-production, depending on what kind of show it is. If it's a limited series, they'll put more time into it. If it's more like a show on the CW, you probably got a month and a half, 2 months there. But like there have been opportunities, just not as frequently, and you have to be a bit more on them in the moment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you just got to be ready.
Oh yeah, be ready. Because for me, a lot of the time, it's a phone call or an email, and it's real quick. Hey, this may feel a little bit like pigeonholing, so I don't want to do this to y'all. But with y'all's group, when I get the call, they're like, "Hey, we're looking for something folky. We want like Mumford and Sons," and I'm like, "No, but y'all don't want Mumford and Sons. That's just your only modern folk reference." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're right." And that's when y'all get pitched the most, is when I get that call.
Right.
So then I just sit here and wait for these emails and calls, and I have to be like a 1 hour guy in and out that gets sent out, because there are other people waiting in the wings trying to do the thing, and the market's even more scarce right now.
Yeah. Do you find there's more pitch opportunities or less? Like, I'm just curious what people are doing on the other side of music, as in releasing shows and stuff. Like, I see a lot being put out on Netflix and HBO, and I'm like, how are they doing this?
Well, for one, it's because they have the time, and those are much more like limited productions. So it's not music, but Brett, somebody, he's a comedian who's known for having this Russian story. I don't remember his name.
The Machine.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that guy is awesome.
Okay, so he just had a show come out on Netflix, and it is so clear to me that show was specifically made because it's the COVID era, and the entire concept of the show is he's alone in a cabin out there and just invites friends in every week. That's a kind of production that can roll through right now, because you got a limited cast, you got a limited number of people out there. So I would expect in the next 9 months to a year, those are the kind of shows you will see emerge more because of the production limitations. But the good news there for musicians is that those are lower budget shows, and those lower budget shows sometimes have a little bit more of a music budget because it doesn't take a ton to do what they've done for the video.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And
so really, they're what I would call market opportunities.
Yeah.
But they're there. You just have to be able to look for them, and they certainly look different and are presented differently than they were previously.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that makes sense. There was a really great show that the BBC did with David Tennant and Michael Sheen, the guys who were in Good Omens.
Yes.
They did basically a show over Skype, and
really?
Yeah, they film. There are parts of it that the people filmed themselves, probably on cell phones or whatever, and then they did a bunch of Skype calls, and they would invite guests in sometimes on the Skype calls, but it was them they're trying to rehearse a play for when the theaters reopen, and just the hijinks that ensue over Skype.
This is great. I'm going to turn this on as soon as we're done here. That sounds right up my alley.
It's called Staged.
Staged. All right,
yeah.
I'm there.
And it is an example of what you're saying. Yeah, people are. I think there are some studios and people who are just scrambling to be like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when we can't have a big crew around, or we can't get a set location and everybody in a location? Yeah, I think you're right. In the next year or so, we're going to see these new ideas kind of trickle out.
Yeah, but the thing is, I always like to argue that any kind of difficulty then leads to creative expansion.
Agreed.
And I think this is another example of that. And even because I do all the syncing and stuff, I'm also involved in a lot of production of songs and stuff. And for instance, right now we're doing a song next year for a major baseball player's his next walk-up song.
Nice.
And we've had to do a whole lot of that, coordinating the studios in Dallas, and regularly, I'd find a time within 2 months to make a Dallas trip. I have clients down there anyways. I would get in the studio and make sure to just bang it out. But instead, we're having to do the Skype calls, and I don't remember the name of the software. The engineer that I work with, shout out to Tyler Norris in Dallas. He is phenomenal. If you're in Dallas, you should work with him.
For sure.
But so he has a file system where he can then put all the stems in a certain folder, so that I can go through and have them on my end, and we can do edits and share that sort of thing.
Ooh.
And it's been a process. It's been new and unique and not what I'm used to in terms of how we produce music. And again, even avoiding studios and stuff at the height of, the meltdown, if you will.
Yeah.
So then I have improved my closet studio recently, and it's really sounded pretty sharp, at least for vocals.
Yeah.
So just putting it all together and that sort of having to do things differently also then leads to innovations where we're using audio effects we never would have thought of using before because we had our tried and trues that we loved and all that. But now the recordings sound a little different, and I'm the one doing some of the production, but then I'm giving it to the engineer who has his own opinions that, oh, well, this should be beefed up, or, oh, we want to make this sound more like T-Pain, but, we've been in the closet studio twice and we don't have all the layers we need.
Right.
So necessity is the mother of invention. And all of a sudden we have this new effect that we liked better than the old one, and we would not have come up with otherwise.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch the way we make music change as well. I mean, yeah, I totally feel you on that. Like all of a sudden I'm making electronic music with people like who are in India and Brazil, and I'm like, that's never something I thought I would see myself doing at all, electronic music. And I've got like a whole EP coming out, and like Ed and I are sending stuff back and forth, and like there's just all different, it's just everyone's shifting right now just with everything they're doing. And I think we're going to look back on these COVID times, and it's going to be like a very, very clear change in the timeline. Like if you draw it out, it'll be like a big squiggle, like line, squiggle, squiggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Again, it looks like the stock market.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true. That's
It's a very
so
good
true.
analogy.
Well, I've been playing with stocks because of all the craziness, so it's at the forefront of my mind.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
But how are you doing? I know that you had a little bit of. I know you've gone through some stuff lately, just like trying to survive in Nashville. But are you doing all right? You and the family doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Okay.
It's certainly been an adventure of a year. So March 3rd, I believe it was, the girlfriend and I and our wonderful dog Chance, who may walk out at some point here, went through the tornado. We live in Germantown, Nashville.
Oh yeah.
We got hit, rode that bad boy out in the closet.
Oh.
It really was pretty harrowing in the, not even the tornado sense. That all happened. And I remember looking at my girlfriend and saying, babe, I think we actually just went through a tornado. and we weren't even quite sure until we opened the front door and Christie's Cookies roof was on our front porch.
Ooh.
And it was just like, oh, okay, so this is real.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were up until 6 a.m. because gas leaks and police telling us to go one way and the firefighters telling us to go another way. And at a certain point, we were just like, F it, we're going to go sleep for 3 hours and pack everything up and go. So that's what we did. And we are now in a new place here in Germantown. We're lucky enough to only have to move 3 blocks away from where we were.
Good.
So things are good, and Germantown's on the up and up. I'm actually wearing my Nashville Strong shirt right now because I do want to advocate for everybody still out there hurting. I know it's been some time since the tornado, but especially in North Nashville and needy communities, there are people that were hit by this and then immediately hit by COVID. Yeah. And recovery doesn't look the same for them, and it's not done and it's not over. So I hope people still continue to donate and look out for their fellow brethren out here in Nashville and anywhere experiencing these things. But yeah, definitely think about your Nashville neighbors right now, please.
Is there a link that I can post to our friends here so they can?
I can find one. I don't have one on me, but I will send it to you so you can post it up, and I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, we remember we were in Central Coast, California, about to do a show, and we got word about the tornadoes and seeing pictures. I mean, because we both used to live in Germantown as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
We both lived in Germantown, and seeing the photos in the aftermath was just like, good grief. I remember that intersection. I remember that thing. I remember that place, and it was gut wrenching.
Oh yeah, and there are still restaurants now that have just gotten the clearance to do their repairs. I
Oh,
know
wow.
Neighbors here in Nashville opened up today. Today is day one for Neighbors in
Really?
Nashville. Yeah.
Wow.
And there are other ones still coming up. We only just heard we're involved in like the Germantown restaurant community because we walk most places living in Germantown.
Yeah.
So like we were sort of talking and through the grapevine. It's only now that I believe it's Red Bicycle just got their clearance to do the work they need to do, and Germantown Cafe
Yeah.
only just now got their clearance to do the work they needed to do.
Oh my
So
gosh.
for some of these restaurants, it's a year of lost income. It's worse for them than even the people dealing with COVID because they have
Yeah.
just been offline.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Yeah, these are all like our local haunts that you're discussing. It's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I remember seeing the pictures and like seeing our old apartments and just being like, wow, that is that's crazy.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, really, really
well,
eerie.
I don't know what years y'all lived in Germantown, but way back in the day when I was still in college, so I think 2009 or 2010, I worked at Zacky's Hot Dog in Germantown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is now a coffee shop with great chocolates that turns into the green hour in the evening.
Okay.
But yeah, so now it's a coffee shop absinthe bar. It's a little different than hot dogs, but
God, it's
yeah.
changed so much. I don't know.
Yes.
We have a song about Germantown. I don't know if you're representing that song or if we should send it to you still. It's
I
called-
think it was in. It might have
I
been
think
in
it
there.
is in the catalog. I don't remember
Yeah.
it specifically, but I remember thinking at least about a number of songs like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Ghosts of Germantown, and it's about like how because when we left it was 2014. 2014.
Okay.
And it's like a different beast entirely now, and especially even like a year later, we went back a year later and we're like, what is this place? What has happened to Germantown? Which which was kind of heartbreaking because I remember living in Germantown and being like, man, can they like open a bar or something here? That'd be so great if there's just like one bar would come in.
Listen, that's how I felt about 12 South, and now 12 South is a tourist trap. So
Oh yeah. 12
yeah.
South is
don't
just
wish
crazy.
too hard.
Yeah, true.
Well, yeah, I remember when I moved to Nashville in 2006. And so I was there from 06 to 14. And when I first moved there, the Gulch was like Sambuca
Yeah.
and
Yep.
half
Yep.
of one of those high rises, and then like an abandoned club or something. And then when I left, there were like 7 of those high rises. So in like 8
yeah.
years, that's how fast that town grew, even through the housing crisis. Like Nashville, it just kind of slowed down a little bit. It
Yep.
didn't like collapse like so many other markets did, which was weird.
It's because it's the hot town, and it has been that. And having lived in Austin as well.
Oh, yeah.
I sort of see the similar things. I have some higher hope for Nashville, not to hate on Austin at all. I love Austin as a city, but it did become a destination more than almost its own thing. And Nashville at least has been pretty good at isolating where is the tourist part and then where the rest of us go.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it gives it at least this community feel still that is there and is real. And like, I know all my friends that live out east side, well, they all go to Cobra and no tourists go to Cobra.
Right.
And then like on our side, we always have the spots we go to that aren't on the top 10 lists and all that. And we get to enjoy still being Nashville folks without having to have too much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the hope, I guess, of any city trying to reinvent itself.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wish they'd handle the traffic situation a little better in Nashville.
Is there a
Well, that
way
being
to?
said, with COVID right now, the traffic's actually pretty okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. The same. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona now, and that's kind of the same thing here. Is like it's not quite as crazy, even though we're getting into snowbird season. So.
Yeah,
Hey, no,
wait.
I know Scottsdale pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
I used to see someone used to live off 96 and Shea.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
not too
that's
far.
where I'm from originally, sort of.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Well,
Okay,
since I was
okay.
11, I lived in Scottsdale. So I did my middle school and my high school in Scottsdale, and then my college at ASU, and then I spent a few years there as after college, and then shipped off to Nashville. So
Hey, I hear that. The dream.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And now I'm in San Diego, and somehow Ed moved to my hometown of Scottsdale, and I'm still not
Iron
entirely
is
sure
fun.
how this happened, but Ed's there, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad y'all are safe and that you managed to get through it okay. And yeah, please do. If anybody out there wants to donate, we'll find a link. And keep Nashville in mind, because it's an important place, and there are a lot of people who are disadvantaged there.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
want to make sure everybody can get help.
And it definitely tells you what means the most to you, which to me is good and bad, because the exact things that I grabbed during this time was, okay, girlfriend first, dog, hard drives, and computer.
Yep.
And that is who I truly went through that storm with.
Well, at least you got your priorities straight.
Yeah.
I know a few
Yeah,
people who maybe would have given that a different order. So
I have some friends who I'm quite aware would just be like, oh, he can go, but I need this.
Oh man. Well, one of the reasons too we want to ask you along is if you had maybe a couple of tips or pointers to share for anybody who's maybe thinking about trying to get into, like, trying to have their music ready for licensing or micro licensing or just anything in general. I mean, are there any things that like you wish you would have known, like when you first started? Any kind of tips that you could share that come to mind?
Absolutely. So if I were to give a very first piece of initial advice, it's know what you want to do. I think there are a whole lot of people who will come to me, and I do sync licensing for the majority of the time. I will do cut mechanical licensing and stuff like that. That's not my specialty. And people will come to me and say, oh, well, licensing is licensing. And I'm like, no, it's not. If you were doing placement licensing, if you want Kenny Chesney to cut your next hit, I would tell you, don't worry about investing in a ton of production. Have your demo. These people are experienced demo listeners. They're looking for a song. They're not looking for a final product. And I can save you 90% of your budget if you're not trying to do complete product sync licensing. So know what you want. If you're trying to get cuts on the row, you can do it with the guitar and your vocals. You really can. I've seen it happen many times. A lot of the times they like that because they want the additional production influence. Yeah. They want to be able to take your song and make it what they want it to be. But then getting into the sync licensing side of it, then almost the alternative to what I'm saying with the demo production is have final products. If you're trying to get your stuff to TV and film, a whole lot of the time people send me demos and they're like, hey, I know it's pretty good, but like we can place this, right? And I'm like, no, you did this in GarageBand. And having that final product and being comfortable and safe in your final product too. Again, sometimes I'll have people say, hey, here's actually the third mix of that song we sent you 6 months ago. Can you pitch this part now? Is more difficult and creates problems on my end, but also it confuses these music supervisors when I'm sending them the same song for a third time and they're like, wait, we've heard this, and I'm trying to say, oh no, we've changed 10% of things, even though I don't really want to be there saying that. I know they've said no to this, but neither do I want to lose the opportunity of at least putting it in front of them.
Yeah.
But like, have your final versions down. Be ready to give it to me, me just being the example here. And I'll tell you yes or no real quick. Y'all's production values, when I hear all your stuff is good, y'all are clearly in the studio. Your masters sound like masters. I've never had to worry about that with y'all. There are a lot of people where I do. And that only gums up the works. Yeah. What I really want is a final product. I want to listen to it, even if it's a genre I don't like. Like, you can hear gold when it's there. You can do folk I like as a genre. It is not what I listen to every day, but when you hear it, you hear it. And it doesn't have everything to do with just the individual songs. It has to do with the clear workmanship, the production values, and that they're succinct. Even just having like a 20-second bleed before a track starts or something like that just looks unprofessional, is hard to pitch. People will listen to that initially and turn down your whole catalog because you didn't do something that is otherwise standard.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. We try to be mindful of that when we're doing our stuff, because I mean, since we're releasing, we self-publish everything, so we're releasing it out to the masses, and so we're like, okay, it's got to be good, otherwise we don't want to release it. It's got to be as good as we could get it anyway. And so that's all really good advice, because especially if you're getting into music and producing your own music, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be getting into right now because they don't have another option.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are great to know, because it's all these little things, these little touches you don't think about, like topping and tailing the audio file so that there's not 20 seconds of silence beforehand. Mastering, even if it's just doing something on Lander. Like just whatever you can do to make it sound and hit, So
and so much of that is in the translation of the file as well, because when you're listening to it, you can listen to it on your headphones and it'll sound a kind of way versus listening through your monitors versus listening through speakers versus listening in your car versus your phone and all these other things. And for TV and film in particular, they want this audio to be able to translate from the phone to the larger formats, and they don't want to be dealing with these issues. Having just a good master will allow that to be bypassed. It's not a roadblock in your way that otherwise it could be. And I've seen people try and take things that, I get it. It sounds good on your iPhone speakers, but you need to go hire a professional to finish this out, because this is not done.
Yeah, we're very mindful of that. We try to be anyway. So
another thing I'll put out there right now that I do encounter a fair amount is always, always, always have your instrumental and have your stems. Like, have your files available. I don't care if it's on a hard drive in your storage unit, just be able to access them, because there are times where I'm staring at a $25K deal and all they want is to be able to remove the ukulele and drop it back in when they want it. And because that's not an option, because someone doesn't have their stems, a huge deal will go off to the wayside, because if they're going to spend that amount of money, they want to be able to make it what they want it to be.
Yeah.
That's really good advice.
That is really good advice. Yeah.
Do you have any, I know you mentioned doing some coaching right now for artists who are really struggling, and there are so many artists that are struggling right now because obviously, I mean, ourselves included, we went from, performing 20 times a month to, I'm lucky that I've picked up a few solo shows, winery and bar stuff, or like outdoor stuff twice a month, sorry. And that's just like a huge gap. So we're all like struggling a little bit. And I know a lot of artists are bringing stuff online. So do you have any tips that you'd be willing to share for artists right now on ways that they can, either make money online with their music, or like boost it if it's already there, to kind of help them go in that direction?
Firstly, I would put out, and this is something I tell everyone, the story I told at the front of the show in the video that I sent in was hugely about reporting your live shows. And I know lots of pretty seasoned music folks will neglect to do that. And it seems like nickels and dimes, but it's really not. I have individually performed a, hour-long show, probably had 20 songs in there, just my own, that I own either 100% or 50% of usually, and report that, and I'll get an extra $60 a show. And when you talk about what you're getting paid to do shows off the bat, you're not always looking at hundreds of dollars. Maybe you're doing a $60 for an hour set show. So then if you're out there reporting your original material to your performing rights organization to collect on that, you can double your income, which is very significant, especially in these times. Also, be aware what a performance royalty is. Performance of your music anywhere to the public is considered that and is reportable in some capacity. That really should be there. And that's not you taking money from other people. People will complain, especially towards venues. They will say, oh, well, if you report your shows, well, what if they don't have their license? I put that entirely on the venue. The venue is the one choosing to have music in there. Songwriters deserve to be paid for their work, and they are already underpaid entities. So if you care to have music created by creatives in your establishment, they deserve to be paid for that because you have it there for a reason. It does attract people in. There is not a reason to not pay people for that service. So report your shows. Anytime you do a show, wherever that show is, report it, report the capacity, report who attended or the attendance number. And you'll get money there on the back end that musicians desperately need right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's I think it's always been a weird spot for us as the artists to do that because we're aware of the places that try to skirt the license fees and everything.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel like a rat.
Especially to
that's
like
the
the
tough part.
small guys that like can't really barely afford anything, and I'm just like, oh, I feel weird.
But it's funny because we feel like we're in that spot. But you're right. It is the venue's responsibility.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, actually.
I have sympathy. Like, I certainly understand the way I talked about Charcoal Cowboy, my little home restaurant until it had to close. Like, I love these spots and I appreciate the struggle of mom and pops. But I also know there are other avenues that can be pursued with music that reduce your costs. One thing that I've been doing for the last few months has been organizing direct license deals that go around PRO reporting. And that's not something I would have been doing 3 years ago, but the state of the industry right now and people trying to save money, when you have a lot of these places skirting this anyway and you're not collecting that revenue, well, then we go in and we negotiate with stores or representatives of chains of stores and say, hey, $100 a pop per song. We'll give you 30 songs and you can play these for a year, no license. Like, that's it. Direct license is it. And that right there is a good way for musicians to get more money than they would have otherwise for that sort of usage. And it helps these store owners. I know this isn't directly live music, but it helps these store owners have music in their stores without being bullied by ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC.
Right.
So there are ways to do it legally and save your money. You just have to find those. Even if you just picked a PRO and maybe you only play BMI music, but you can Google that. You have the repertory search. You can make a playlist of 60 songs that you use in your restaurant, only BMI artists. And you can't play a lot of the music you love, but you can do it for a third of the price because you're not paying 2 of the 3 PROs.
Right.
That's a really good point. Like that playlist thing is an interesting point because I'm not sure that a lot of places think about that very often.
Yeah, but I do appreciate the struggle there. At the end of the day, though, I am an advocate for songwriters first, and that's because I believe it's an underrepresented group, and I think it's a group that fairly gets taken advantage of. The race to the bottom in music is real, and I fight it every day, but even I have to make hard decisions on how we price little licenses and stuff like that because some guy next door has a drum track and an EDM line, but he's selling it for $5 instead of a $50 license, and I have to compete with him for people that don't know music.
Yeah.
Right. That is probably quite difficult these days, especially as more and more people are starting to believe that they're musicians.
Oh yeah. Like, and yet, Simon, in the same breath, I want to encourage everyone to be a musician, and I think there is a space for everyone and a voice for everyone. But it creates such a large pool to draw from, and so many people have not put 20 years into this and don't take the time to have every instrument done live in studio properly to sound great. And they still have to compete with people that operate under zero budget and are just sitting there with a pad banging it out. And I respect both sides of it, but you have to understand you're also feeding into this race to the bottom where prices are their absolute lowest, and musicians maybe can't even live on just their music, which is why I then do draw lines with these performances in restaurants or things like that. Those people have to be paid. Otherwise, just everyone and their mom is a musician, but nobody's paid.
Yep.
Yeah, it's important, I think, to know what what world you're jumping into and what you're giving away, because that's just the danger of our industry is the more, I mean, we've seen it happen over and over and over again, and we're trying to hang on to so little. So the sync licensing thing, that's actually and that's not how Witherword's been making our money over the years. We've been making it for live performance, which has just completely gone away. But like, what about people who are making on sync licensing? It's a slippery slope, right? Like, if the more people that give it away for $5, like, is there going to be anything left at the end of the day? So it's good that you're fighting the good fight.
Well, it's like the idea of playing for exposure. And for a lot of people just starting out, the idea of, oh, well, maybe I only get $100, but I could put this song into a major TV show or major motion picture, and that sounds sexy enough that you'll take that low amount of money. And I really do want to fight for people to make an adequate amount of money for that, because even what we're making now on it, it's not what it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Right.
Even accounting for inflation, like, the numbers are much lower. And we have to find a floor that's a reasonable floor. And as long as people are still going out there selling their music for nothing, well, then that is what it will be worth to some people.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very true. That's very true. I think that's what you were continually fighting against, is like, what is music worth to an audience and to a buyer, and that's a really tough perception, I think, to overcome. How do you battle against that typically?
Definitely in pricing. And again, this is the difficult part, is there's just a certain price point, depending on the license, that I will not go below. Even if I know the guy next door is doing it for less, whatever it is, there are certain lines I won't cross. That is similar in percentages. It used to be, especially in micro licensing in that front, standard split percentage was 50-50. The company would take 50, the writer, the owner, whatever, would get the other 50%. And that even seemed exorbitant. And it is different even then than it was 10 years before, where you had a bunch of really good 65-35 deals. So then it was 50-50. I have now seen some of my favorite companies make shifts to 65-35 in the other direction.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Ouch.
That just devastates me. And then I'm left with a number of choices. A, do I stay with them? The answer for some that don't do much volume is no.
Yeah.
Those that do a significant volume and contribute to my income and therefore my songwriters' incomes, I will stay with, but then I raise our prices. In an environment where nobody else is raising prices, I will raise our prices so that I am still getting the same dollar amount or more, and the songwriter is still getting the same dollar amount or more. If that lowers our volume a little bit, so be it. That is the hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah.
So that happens, and I have not seen, I've at least seen, if the volume declines, the price difference will make it up some, because I try to pad it in a little bit, even if it's just an extra $5 or $10 here and there because of the way we shift our percentages. I want that to be coming in for myself and for the artists, and I won't sell lower than that. So a whole lot of the companies that do enough volume to warrant me staying with them even after that shift, the prices go up. And that's the way that I am choosing to operate. And it's a bit of a moral stance of, this is where I say the race to the bottom stops for me. And then the hope is others follow suit. And I see that happen in sort of the communities that I'm a part of other people that do similar sync licensing things as me, and songwriting communities and all that, that it's not a group decision, but we all have somewhat of a feeling of here is the bottom for us. And then we wait and see how it plays out. So far, it's done pretty good. I actually saw a really big jump in sales this month, despite all the COVID stuff and the pricing changes we've had to make. So it's there.
Great.
The value is there. People are still willing to pay, but you got to stand on that line. Otherwise, none of us will have anything.
Right.
I wonder when we'll be able to report our live stream performances to PROs.
Yeah, hey, like that will be a real thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, especially as God, it's so crazy to think about it. Who is going to, what venues are going to survive this pandemic?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know the ones that are just working so hard just to stay afloat, and their hard work is really truly paying off. It's really cool to see. I was just at this this winery last night that has music called Koizen, and they did everything possible. I mean, when the pandemic hit and they had to shut their doors, they were personally delivering wine bottles to people who wanted to put in orders to their houses. And then the minute that they were able to open and have like music up again, they like made this makeshift stage in the middle of their parking lot that was like 40 feet from anybody. And you just like come in and set up your equipment, you play in the middle of their parking lot, and they put these big tents outside. And it's so cool to see venues like that. I mean, that's just one example. I actually know quite a few.
That's great. I love that so much.
Yeah. There's another venue. I did a show at the Museum of Making Music in Carlsbad, and they're staying alive through their donors, because they're a museum, so they have a lot of people who are like really working hard to keep them afloat, and they're still having concerts, just no live audience. So they'll have the musicians come in and play their beautiful stage, but everyone who is watching is online. So there's just, people are getting really creative, and some people are just kind of like, I think especially the ones that were kind of teetering on the edge anyway, like, I kind of want to get out of this. They're like, okay, we're done. But it's going to be interesting to see who's still around and how that's going to look when we're able to start performing live again, if we're able to start for real.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I have a photographer friend who lives here in town who just recently he was like, "Oh, hey, I have to go photograph this show in Atlanta." And I said, "There are shows in Atlanta?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No, they distanced it actually very well." And he showed me the pictures, and they used the sort of metal grating or whatever to create little bubbles that no more than 6 people could be in, and you sort of filter people in by row and filter people out by row.
Wow.
But it seemed as contained and as well done as could be reasonably done.
Okay.
And I do love that. I want all of our musicians to be out there playing. People need to be making money and getting their attention and living their life, doing their career.
Yeah.
And this has posed such a real threat to our industry specifically, in a way that even I think restaurants clearly feel it to some degree as well. But you have plenty of places where your restaurant can be at 50% capacity. You don't have 50% capacity for music.
Right.
Even these places that have these capacity orders, no live music. No live music was such a huge thing during the first shutdown.
Yeah.
And I am very much for containing this. That first and foremost, that is an issue, and we should never put people at risk for the sake of financial livelihoods. And yet those financial livelihoods also then impact people's lives directly and have to be considered as well in the conversation. And having methods like that, again, necessity being the mother of creation, you can do that. And if tickets are a little more expensive, I hate it, but so be it.
Yeah.
And if
you're probably going to less concerts anyway, so
you really are. And again, the streaming shows thing, I love. I have a friend, Nick, who's absolutely a pop punk head through and through. And one of his favorite bands is The Maine. Well, The Maine played a live show last night, and I am not a live show streamer. That's not what I do on my Saturday evenings, particularly Halloween evening. But in the times of distance and stuff and sitting down and, well, we watch TV a fair amount anyways when we're not working. It's something different. And I watched that live show and it struck me in the feels where I was just like, oh, I miss this. Oh, like just the feeling of being there. And even that is only 50% of it. We're still just on the couch watching the screen. But like there is something different about that live show experience than anything else. So to even have that 50% capacity to experience that again felt so just enriching and enlivening, and like all the more just puts in my head, let's get our musicians back on stages in a safe capacity, in a safe way, but let's allow them to do their work and make their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. This has been really great catching up with you.
Yeah.
I wanted to first ask, where can folks find more about you and the services you provide on the internet,
and your music too,
and your own personal music?
I keep meaning to ask you about your music, and I keep talking about the greater of music topic, but
no, I'm happy. I think these bigger issues pertain to more people and should be addressed. So you can find my company at themusicallyconnected.com. We specialize in sync licensing, but also do consulting. If you do consulting, you'll obviously talk to me directly. Always happy to help you find your money. And we're doing very steep discounts on consulting right now because things are so hard out there for people. That is not my moneymaker. If you got issues, talk to me. We'll find some way for me to profit on my time somewhat, but you to get what you need so you can continue to be out there working.
Awesome.
And then my music, TreyHouston.com. Yeah, we didn't hit on this. I started as a rapper. I now write 50% country music for other folks. I am definitely a lyrics-heavy writer, but I'm always interested to write with other people and at least hear what you got. And if we match well, if we vibe well musically, always happy to do some stuff. And those are the places to find me. I'll shout out Nashville Strong again. Just keep the Nashville folks in your heart as things move forward. People are hurting out there. Yeah, I think that's everything. It's been a joy for me to talk to y'all as well. I've enjoyed this very much.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
We just have one more question for you.
The important one.
And this is something we ask everybody on the podcast. But if you were to have any superpower, what would it be? Anything at all?
Oh, see, and I know telekinesis because
I like
it
that.
then encompasses the other ones. Because, like, if I want to fly, if I can't technically fly, I can just put something under me and move it. So I've thought this through. Telekinesis gets like 2/3 of the other powers somewhere in there. So a strong vote on telekinesis.
You're the first one who said that, actually.
Yeah.
Of all of our guests, you're the first telekinesis.
But that's the best argument I've heard for telekinesis.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, you could do so many other things. Like, you could throw fireballs, or you could build buildings, or you could, you know.
Yeah.
That makes
Listen,
so
if
much
y'all
sense.
find a way to give me these superpowers, I am all in.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
keep an eye out for any, like, radioactive spiders or gamma
Listen, man, you
rays.
trip and
Or...
fall and find one. Hit me up.
We're going to have like the best X-Men gang ever. Like between all the superpowers we're getting from all these musicians that we have on our show.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a whole new comic book series. I see it already. Telekinesis.
I'm ready. And we can do the soundtrack when they make it a show.
Yes, absolutely. We've got this
Deal.
200% locked up.
100%. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, Roland. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah.
And we're really happy to speak with you again. Hopefully we can have you on again sometime soon in far more calm and happier times. But
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all again. And it certainly has been a pleasure. And of course, feel free to reach out to me. I am a resource to y'all, but I'm happy to be a resource to your viewers as well. And if you need anything, I'm always right here.
awesome.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. It's so nice to talk to you again.
Yeah.
You're always a breath of fresh air.
Hey, so are y'all. So are y'all. It really is always a pleasure. And, God willing, all this lets up at some point. Let me know when y'all are back in town again, and we'll find a new barbecue joint.
Woohoo!
Deal.
But hey, better yet, I'll take y'all to Taco Tuesday.
Even better.
All
We're
right.
in.
Take care, Roland. We'll see you soon.
Thanks,
All right,
Roland.
y'all take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. He's the most charismatic dude.
Yeah, see what I mean? I didn't I say before, like, he's just a cool dude, and hopefully everyone now understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check out his stuff, check out his company, check out his music, and yeah, he's definitely a good guy to keep in touch with if you're a musician in need of a little advice or guidance.
Yeah, and you can probably, I'm sure he's got a contact on his website. As he mentioned, he's happy to be a resource for any of our listeners. So be sure to go to themusicallyconnected.com and connect with Roland if you have more questions, and perhaps hire him for consulting, because he is a wealth of information and can really help you guys out a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and share a few tips of our own
Yeah.
that we've collected over the past couple of years for getting music placed and published and stuff like that.
Which I just want to say before we launch into it that we are not experts on this matter.
No.
I think as far as the millions of things that you can do in the music industry, this is not something that Ed and I have mastered, but we have heavily looked into it and have listened to quite a few people who are masters in it speak on the matter. So you shouldn't listen to us.
But if you do,
if you do, we have some information, and mostly we hope that we can guide you into the right direction on looking into it yourself, and especially connecting with somebody like Roland. Or there's some other wonderful resources out there for you as well. So that's kind of our goal in this tips and tricks section.
yeah.
Yeah, like.
So you want me to go first?
Sure.
If you're looking to get your music placed, if you're a particular genre, if you're focused on a particular genre, and you're looking to get music placed and going directly to the source, go on IMDb and check out make a list of shows that your songs you'd feel like would be a good fit for, and find out who the music supervisors are.
Or Google search.
Google search will help as well.
Or just look at the credits on the show. You'll see the
that's
music
where-
supervisors that are listed.
That's where IMDb will be a good source for you, because typically they will have the full credit list for a particular show or movie or something like that. And then, do some Googling and dig out the contact info and just reach out. It's not too dissimilar from what we've done getting, booking live shows. You can reach out to music supervisors as well, but make it a kind of a symbiotic relationship from the start. Like, hey, I've liked your music I've liked your music choices on this particular show, on that particular show. I think we could really do well working together. Don't make it be like, hey, here's my music.
Yeah, or build before. I was just listening to somebody, actually. I took one of those listen to my free hour pitch, and I'll tell you how to get your songs in TV shows. And of course, they want to sell you for $900 course after that. But they do sometimes give it good information. I just listened to this one woman. Her name escapes me, but she's quite successful at this. And she suggests that you start by building a relationship. I thought this was really good advice. Like, reach out to the music supervisors and just compliment them on their work. So, message them on Instagram, message them on Twitter. They may not message back right away, but if you keep following them on their socials, it's a kind of a long game. But if you keep, they'll eventually know who you are, and even if they don't have time to respond, they might, if you really stay on top of it, and they might write you back. And if you keep it really personal, you can eventually just be like, yeah, well, and if you ever, would you ever be open to it? And then they might be like, oh yeah, because now you've built a personal relationship. I thought that was pretty good advice and something that I might try myself one of these days.
That is good advice.
I have not done it yet. Right? I thought it was kind of cool.
Second, you can look for services that will help you get your music placed. They're more like music catalogs, I'm guessing, is what you're aiming for here.
I'm not a big fan of this route, which was my little comment from earlier, but we do have to mention it, and people do have success at it. I don't know anybody who's had any success at it, but I'm sure they do. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if you want to call it a music catalog. That's not, because I think like Rowland has a music catalog, and we're in Rowland's music catalog. And what's great about that is Rowland is representing us.
Right.
So, and we're going to get to that in number 3, but so I don't want to spend too much time on that right now. But what I'm getting at is more of, it's like a submission. So if there's a music supervisor and he's looking for a show for his TV series, he can go on Taxi, is a really big example of one of these, and he can say, I'm looking for an indie folk song in the realm of Mumford and Sons at this RPM and in this key and with this theme in mind. So you can then either write and record a song for that, or if you already have one, you can pitch to them that song.
Right.
Directly to the music supervisor. And then you have to pay money to do it. And so I'm sure Taxi, I don't know how that split works. I don't know if the music supervisor gets a cut, if Taxi gets a cut, or if Taxi gets the full cut. But then the problem with this is 200 people are probably submitting a song to this one music supervisor. So your chances of actually getting cut are pretty slim. Also, there's not a person representing you. It's all bot related. So getting ahead in that world is very difficult. I know friends who have been on Taxi, and I'm sure there's other services similar to Taxis. Just Taxi is the only one I can think of. I just want to be really clear that I don't know anyone who's ever got a song placed in this, but it is a way to connect with them directly. So is it for you? Is it not for you? I don't know. Check it out and you decide. Obviously, I'm not a big fan. That doesn't mean you won't be.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, here's the thing. It is a way to get it is one way to potentially get your music out to these people, but you have to consider the cost. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to consider the cost. You have to consider the relationships that you might build otherwise, because if you get something through it, then there's a possibility of making a relationship, but you could easily just make that relationship yourself for $0.
Right.
So really Taxi's sort of the middleman in this case. They're the connector between your music and the supervisors. But ideally, what you would do is look for someone to represent you in their catalog, much like what Rowland does. And there are a few of these places online. where you can find their website and you submit to their catalog, and then they will choose whether or not to represent you. There are some places that are less picky, let's say, and you can basically just put your music up there, and then customers individually decide whether they want to license your music or not. More along the vein of what Roland was speaking to in regard to micro licensing, but they are a platform for it. People like Roland are a little more personal in that regard. They are a little more familiar with your catalog, so when someone comes to them with a need, he may be able to more accurately get you the deal that you're looking for.
Yeah.
They do take a percentage, but again, you're kind of paying for the network that they've built, the people that they know, and the kind of personal relationship, the personal familiarity with the music. And they do a lot of work on the back end to make sure they have everything tagged right, everything categorized, so they can quickly get to something that they need.
They have to be very organized.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
I am not. So you have to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you will want to first of all, when you submit, if you're going to submit to companies like Roland's to represent your music, a lot of them you'll notice are going to say no unsolicited material. I don't know if Roland takes unsolicited material or not. What that means is, like, if I don't know you, don't send me your stuff. So this is where networking comes in handy a lot. We've talked about networking in previous podcasts, and it's great because, we networked with Roland to meet him. We went to NAMM, we went to the conference, we went to the workshop, we shook his hand, we said, would you be willing to listen to our music? And he said yes.
Yeah.
That's not unsolicited material. That's, solicited. He was there.
We started the relationship with him there, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of the end we had.
Yeah, and a lot of companies just don't want you sending them stuff because they just get too much and they can't spend their entire day listening to new music that they get in because they have to spend their day actually pitching the catalog that they have. So I would recommend, if you're going to cold submit your songs to an existing publisher, to find one that's on the smaller scale that says on their website, yes, we accept unsolicited material. And you'll find that most say we don't. Or, like I said, find out, do a little more digging, like go find out who the CEO is and try and friend request them on Facebook or Twitter and message them and give them a compliment and then stay on them. And then eventually you might be like, hey, is there a way I can submit my material to you? I mean, the friendlier you are and the more personal you get with these people, the more they're going to want to not only sign you, but also push your stuff to the top, because even if you're in this massive catalog, they still might forget about you. It's good to check in with your publisher here and there. And the last thing I want to kind of touch on as far as that goes, if you are going to sign with a publisher, you're going to need to discuss whether it's exclusive or non-exclusive. I'm going to recommend non-exclusive, but a lot of publishers will only want you on exclusive deals. Unfortunately, this means for the song that they put in their catalog, you're not going to be able to get it represented by any other publisher. So they're the person. So you have to put 100% of your faith in that publisher that they're really pushing your song. Also, I mean, you're going to get a better deal as far as the percentage goes if it's exclusive. If it's non-exclusive, typically they want a little higher percentage. So you also have to weigh that out as well. So if you're going to do an exclusive deal, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Just make sure you know who you're getting in bed with.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. Like, you do your homework and make sure that it's going to be worth everybody's time to do an exclusive deal with somebody. I would probably prefer non-exclusives just because then you can cast a wider net. And it seemed that I feel like that might be the better way to go. But if you've got a good opportunity, you're pretty certain that you could get something with an exclusive deal, then go for it. But yeah, it can be a tough call. You just have to weigh it out in your own personal situation. Your mileage may vary.
Yep.
So, also, Roland wanted to let me know if he doesn't he doesn't always do unsolicited, but if people are listening to this show and they want to send something to him, just mention Crimes Against Folk, and he'll try to take a listen to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
well, there you go. Thank you, Roland.
yeah, thanks, Roland. That's really nice of you. So yeah, there's some additional tips from us. Rewind a bit and check out our interview with Rowland to hear some more awesome tips if you're just jumping in at this point, because he had a lot of really good stuff to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, are there any questions from our audience?
Just one real quick question I see here from Alice. Do you use Rowland services? So we Rowland does represent our catalog, and we are non-exclusive with him.
Right.
So, some quick answer. And yes, we do recommend sending your stuff to Rowland if it's polished. Please only send him songs if you have
Final studio versions.
mastered studio versions with the stems and the instrumentals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't do it. Get that together.
So yeah, answering your question, yes, the song should be polished. Don't send in demos.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, Virginia Canyon knows something about music publishers as well, from being in the industry in Nashville for a long time.
Yeah, reputable ones. That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think there are a lot of posers out there who just talk a lot of talk, and just do your homework. Do your homework. If somebody's talking a lot, that's the great thing is a lot of the stuff that people can talk about is easily researchable. So
Yeah.
you can find out if somebody's giving you a line or not.
Yeah,
So-
really great example of that. I can't remember the name of the company, but I somehow got on the email list of this publisher I'm going to say quote publisher in Nashville unquote, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he wanted me to work with him, and I mean it seemed like it was a kind of a wide he just kind of sent an email out, and I somehow got on his email list. I don't know how, but it was enticing to want to work with him, and I did a quick Google search and saw his very, very terrible rating and very, very bad experiences from people. It was very easy to figure, like Ed said, to figure out immediately, nope, not somebody I want to work with. So luckily we are in a very transparent world. So don't forget to do your research.
Yeah.
Don't get excited just because you have a publisher that wants to work with you. Make sure you know who you're working with.
Yep.
And what you're signing.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you two met face to face?
I
it was
gave you a wave. Right after I got engaged.
Right. Yeah. You guys came back because you were on your way back, I think.
I was dropping off a PA.
Yeah. And you guys stopped by for like a sec. So that was when? September? When was that? August?
I don't know. I should probably know that date.
It was
I tried to offer to come over and do Ed's birthday on his patio, and he politely declined.
Yeah.
Because I'm very possibly more infected than he is. So it was a good decision.
It was still a good birthday, though. People called and
yeah.
everything. I actually really enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. Ed voted on his birthday,
I did.
and my nieces sang to him.
It was great.
Yeah, it was
It
fun.
was great. But yeah, it's been a little while, at least a couple of months, I think.
Yeah, I really miss Ed a lot.
Yeah, I miss hanging out
Yeah.
with you and talking and stuff.
I know. I miss like, it hit me yesterday actually for the first time. I shed some tears for the first time yesterday about like feeling lonely,
Yeah.
and B, like just missing hopping in the car and like driving to our next show. Like the pandemic has been kind of a nice forced break for us, because after 5 years on the road, Ed and I were like both pretty worn out. But yesterday, and it was funny because Darius at Koizen asked me about it. He's like, "Do you miss it?" I was like, "Only today. It's the first day." I mean, it's not like I haven't missed it, but like I really did. You know, I was like, man, it would be so cool to like go off on a tour right now and just hop in the car and like go see our friends in Colorado and go see, play our house concerts and XYZ. But
yeah, I miss like the drives.
Yeah.
Like where we could chat or
Yeah.
not chat or listen to a podcast or something. That's the part I probably miss the most.
Aw,
just the
I
time
miss
that
it
we're in
too.
the car, like just chatting, and to like we'll find an article or something on whatever, and it's like, oh, what about this, or rail against something, or
Yeah.
or like when we were geeking out over what 3 words.
Oh yeah.
When Sylvia told you about it.
Yeah,
That
those
kind
were
of stuff. I miss that kind of stuff.
I miss that too. Yeah, or we'd like listen to a podcast and it would like spark a conversation that would last for the next 4 hours of our
Yeah.
drive. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
miss that
exactly.
stuff. Totally.
Exactly. So that's the stuff I miss from the touring and everything.
Me too. And
So-
it felt good to miss it, because sometimes I'm like, are we ever going to do it again?
Yeah.
And then it felt good to do that. So, yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, we can
Wrap
end with a
this
song.
baby up. I put down Cold Dead Body. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't think I'm not even quite sure I remember how to play it. This is the problem with Ed and I not touring as much as we did. It's like some of these songs I'm really starting to forget. So, which is a great segue to talk about joining our Patreon, because we are now doing mini concerts before the podcast, and it's only $5 a month to be able to listen to these once a week.
Yeah.
Some of you guys are already joining us, and it's super fun. So thank you for your support for doing that. But if you want to jump in on the fun, and you can request songs too, by the way, if you're in on it. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/crimesagainstfolk. And what happens is, and if you guys missed today, because I was at the beginning, I was sending out personal messages when we went live, because it's kind of a new platform, but I'm not doing that anymore. That was just kind of thing I was doing at the beginning, but it's just kind of difficult to get them out. So you'll get a notification from Patreon, especially if we recommend getting the app. And then you just join us and we play, 4 or 5 songs before each show.
Yep.
Every week. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I guess this is a good time to announce our upcoming actual show that we're planning, huh?
Oh, in December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to, if you watched last week's show with Celia and Simon Petty Chavez, they were recommending a streaming service called...
It's sorry. I got to look it up again.
Dang it.
I keep forgetting the name of it because
Cut this part.
We just found out about it last week.
Anyway, we'll share the link and everything. But we reached out and we're going to do a Witherword concert through their platform on December, is it 17th? Or
19th.
19th, okay.
High Plateau.
High Plateau on the 19th at noon Pacific. We like to do the earlier shows so we can include our European audience. And, we are charging a ticket price for this one. I think it's just $5 or $10 or something. I don't know. We don't have it sorted out yet. We'll do a big blast about it, but
yeah.
I'm pretty excited. It's been a while since we've done an actual concert, so that'll be fun, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an actual show, like probably an hour and a half Witherward show. Maybe we need to rehearse for it, in fact.
Yeah, we might have to. But yeah, we'll be doing that. So many thanks to Petty Chavez for cluing everybody in on that.
Yeah.
And it seems to have worked pretty well for them. So
Yeah.
we're excited to give it a go, especially now again that we've got a system worked out where we can play together remotely. It helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm good here.
All right, we're ending on a high note.
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Can you bleed a telltale heart when the beat falls apart? A drop of poison in my mouth was all it took to doubt. Sticks and stones may break my bones. You went straight for my chest. Hell hath no fury. Well, you know the rest. Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body. That's what you'll have to do to get me under you. Trying to make amends, but if you want to see me again, stop rocking the cradle, start rubbing the grave. You made your bed, now lying. If this ain't about revenge, you can't take it out on the walking dead. Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body. That's what you'll have to do to get me under you. Take it in. Don't beat a dead man when he's down, but you could add fuel to the fire and let him fry. Let him lie.
One, two, three.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body. That's what you'll have to do to get me under
Over my
you.
cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
Over my cold dead body.
Cold dead body.
That's what you'll have to do to get me under
you.
All right.
Nice. Thanks everybody again for joining us during the live show today.
Yeah, thank you.
Had a great time. Extra special thanks to our guest, Rowland Folensbee. Again, we'll post links to his stuff in the show notes.
Yep.
Extra special thanks to our Patreon producer, Alice Williams.
Yep.
We really appreciate your support. If you want to find out more about Patreon, go to patreon.com/crimesagainstfolk. This show will be live on Tuesday in the podcast app of your choice, so keep an eye out in your podcast app for that notification. If you're in the appropriate Patreon tier, we're going to do the post show real quick right after this. For everybody else, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
See you Sunday.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.